Hi guys! Today I've got a bunch of repotting to do. I went to the garden center last weekend and picked up a few more houseplants, and I'd like to get them out of their nursery containers and into some nice decorative terracotta pots. I've also got a bunch of cuttings here from late summer that have been sitting in these jars of water for months now, and they've got quite the extensive root system, and I'd really like to get them out of the water and into some nice fresh soil. So let's start with our cuttings first. I've got basil and mint in front of me. Both of these are from the garden last summer. The basil I had in a big terracotta pot on the ledge by the front gate. We had a huge windstorm, pot fell over and broke, all the stems got crumpled up. So I came in, just cut a few stems off, put them in water, and they've been here ever since. And they have got quite the extensive root system going on here. The mint is from our mint plant out back. I did a video on that, how to harvest it, how to propagate them, how to cook with them. So I always like to take a couple cuttings from the plant as the weather cools and propagate them, just for fear that if anything were to happen to that plant out back, because I leave it in the terracotta pot all winter long, if anything were to happen to it, I still have cuttings from this plant, because that plant used to be in the ground. It's from my mom, and it's probably about 30 years old. So it has sentimental value. So that's what I do every year. I propagate the mint plant just for insurance purposes. So today we are going to get these all out of the water and into some nice fresh soil. I'm going to be using some organic potting mix. I've got my Biotone starter fertilizer that I'm going to mix a little bit of that in there. And I've got some 4-inch plastic nursery containers that we're going to use to pot these up in. So this process is fairly simple. We've done this numerous times before. I'm just going to get my soil ready, fill these pots, and get these planted. You can see the soil is pretty dry, so I'm going to have to add some water to this to kind of rehydrate it. But I'm first going to get all of my cuttings ready to go, so then we can kind of just go boop, 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 and get them all in. Look at those roots. They're beautiful. Some strong, healthy plants. I'll just lay them over here. Look at this one. It's huge. We'll just set these aside. That's good. It forms a ball, but it's not dripping with water. It's perfect. Okay, so I've got my pot full of soil. I'm just going to use my finger and make a little hole, and then take one of my cuttings, and then I'm just going to push it down in there, and then just pack the soil back over the roots, making sure there's no air gaps and that it's firmly planted in here. And that's it. And then once I finish everything, I'll come back in and water it all in. I'm also not going to fill these completely up. I'm probably going to leave like a 1.5 inch lip, because eventually these are just going to go right into the ground outside. So they'll be fine here for a couple months. Make a hole. Get our little cutting. Tuck the roots in. Pack it back down. Make sure those roots are nice and snug. You need a little more soil for this. That's like ridiculous. And that's it. perfect amount of soil. I love when that happens. So for the mint, I'm just gonna plant all 3 of them in this one container because in the summertime, I'll transplant them or transfer them to a bigger terracotta pot and move them outside. And it'll just be one giant plant. And I am gonna plant them deep because they will form new roots on their stems. And that's it. Okay, now for the houseplants. Let me go get them. Here is my houseplant haul from last weekend. I say I did pretty good. I picked up a snake plant. Now, I've had a couple of these before, but honestly, I killed them. I overwatered them. Snake plants don't like to be continuously watered. Water them thoroughly, let it all drain out, and then wait until they're 100% dry before you rewater, and they'll be happy. They like bright light. I gave them bright light, but I basically drowned them. I picked up this gorgeous aloe vera plant, which I'm really excited about because I haven't had one of these in a while. I picked up 2 more little ones. These were from the clearance rack, and so the bottom stems are a little like lanky and stuff, so I'll probably have to remove them and then just kind of repot them and just kind of anchor them into the soil. This one I've never had before. This is a twin flower agave. Never had one before. I just think it looks so cute. It needs a little bit of grooming. Got a couple of, dead stems on the bottom here. But it reminds me of the whipcord arborvitae, like a little baby version of it. I just think it's so cute. And then this is the one, let me move this over. Don't tip over. This is the one I'm really excited about, String of Pearls. I've never had one of these before. I've always wanted one. I don't know why I never picked them up. Maybe I think I was a little intimidated by them. But I did a little research and they seem fairly easy to take care of. They like very well draining soil. They're drought tolerant. They do like a lot of light, and I was told make sure they get a lot of light on the top. That way it keeps the top full and you don't end up with just the strand of pearls that trail down and they're all nice and full, and then you have kind of like nothing up top here. So I'm gonna have all of these under a grow light, but this is the one I'm really excited about. So on all of these, I'm going to pot them all up in terracotta pots. Where are my pots? I've got these terracotta pots. These are from our terracotta pot haul in Baltimore. And then I'm going to be using, let me get over here. I'm going to be using the Espoma Organic Cactus Mix because all of these like a fast draining soil. They don't like wet feet. They don't like wet soil. They kind of just want to get their drink and go. So I'm going to use this and get them all potted up. I'm not going to use any fertilizer or anything. I will probably come in at the beginning of spring. Maybe I'll fertilize the aloe and the Sansevieria, the snake plant, just a little bit. But for the rest of them, probably the stringer pearl. You know what? Probably everything. I'll give them a nice little light feeding. But for the most part, these don't require a lot of food, a lot of fuss. Give them a little bit of water here and there and some light, and they should be happy to go. So I'm going to get these all potted up, and then I will get everything back on the table after I clean it all up and show you what they all look like. So you can see that this cactus mix is definitely a lot barkier, and what that does is it allows for water to drain through, and it also allows for a lot more air and oxygen in the soil, and that's exactly what these plants like. They want to get their drink of water, and then they want the water to just kind of drain right out, and they need a lot of air and oxygen at their roots because these are very susceptible to root rot. If you use like a regular potting mix or anything else that tends to hold on to too much moisture, then you'll probably notice that your plants will start to get stressed out because the soil is just not drying out enough and the roots are probably starting to rot. So let's get these planted up. Now I'm probably just going to use a little bit of soil at the bottom for some of these smaller ones, and then I probably will just add some more in once I get these potted up. Yeah, I'm going to keep the soil that's in here, but I definitely need to take a little bit more out. There. So I just have a little bit, like an inch of soil at the bottom. And then I'm going to take this one. I'm probably going to scrape some of the soil off, but they've got quite the root system. And aloe do like to be snug in their containers, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Get them all nice and snug. I'm just going to actually leave these alone for right now. I don't want to mess with anything because just transplanting them from one container to another can be a little transplant shock. So I'm just going to wait and see what they do in a few weeks. Now I'm just going to go and add a little bit more soil around here and on the table. And I'm going to pack it down a little bit because I definitely want this to be nice and snug in here. Aloe, as they get bigger and bigger, tend to get a lot more top heavy, and yet they still like to be snug. So you end up with this big, huge plant in a little tiny pot, and it's bonk, falls right over. And I'm not going to take the soil all the way up here. I don't want to smother the plant in soil because then once you water it in and the soil is wet, you don't want all that wetness just sitting against the stems. Oh, poor thing. Okay, that is pretty snug in there. I've got the soil packed in. I'm probably going to have to, I might have to add a little bit more once I get these watered in because I am going to give them a thorough water once we're done here. And then I'll just kind of see if the soil settles a little bit, and I may have to come in and just kind of put a little bit more on the top. And that's it. And I'm just leaving like a ½ an inch between the soil and the rim. I love these plants. Okay, on to the next. So this one completely came out of its little root ball, but it still has roots in here, and so it's fine. I'm just going to add a little more fresh soil in here. I'm going to bury it down just a little bit lower. And now I'm just going to add a little bit more soil all the way around and hopefully anchor it into this pot. There. All right, we're going to get them all done. Pretty. All right, guys, I'm going to get everything cleaned up and then I'll come back around and show you how they all look. They're all potted up and watered in. Don't they look great? I'm so happy with how everything turned out, and the basil smells amazing. I wish you guys could smell it. So I watered them all in. I used a mosquito bit tea, which is basically the mosquito bits soaked in some water for about 30-40 minutes, strained, and then just water everything in. Just kind of like a little extra layer of protection against fungus gnats and everything, because I do plan on keeping the basil and the mint a little more moist than normal just because they were propagated in water. So the roots are completely used to, they've acclimated to 100% water. So now that they're in soil, I'm going to keep it a little wet for probably like the next week or so, and then slowly back off just so, I guess kind of like so it doesn't shock the roots too much more than what the transplant already did. So that's what I'm going to try. And I have done it before and it's worked. So fingers crossed, it keeps working. Anyways, so yeah, I'm really happy with how everything turned out. I've been wanting to get these specifically potted up for so long, and every time I walked by them, I'm like, I'll get to it, I'll do it, I'll do it. And then, life just happens, things happen, and here we are, 4 months later, and we're finally getting to it. But the good thing is we got to it. It's another check off of our checklist, and we can move on to the next thing. So I'm gonna put these downstairs in a west-facing window. This is where they were initially. And then these I'm gonna put right under the grow light for now and just kind of let them acclimate. And then I'm gonna have to shift everything around because we have a new grow light system coming from Gardener Supply in the next few days. And we've got seeds coming too. So this whole room is gonna kind of get a reorganization, and it is long overdue because I am jam-packed in this space. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to getting the basil in the ground. I'm probably going to give probably like half of these away to friends and neighbors as gifts. But the aloe and all of the other houseplants, those are mine, especially the string of pearls. I'm really excited about that. I'm actually really excited about all of them. So yay. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.